Next up, a girl that has made me coins. One of my personal favorites, but she's been on a little bit of the rough run lately. Ketlen Vieira, right? Ketlen Vieira. We have stopped Brazilian hate with our girl Ketlen Vieira before. A lot of people were writing her off going into that Holly Holm fight. And I know a lot of people think that Holly Holm was robbed there, that she deserved the nod. Hey, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that one. I thought Ketlen Vieira was the more dangerous fighter in that fight. I thought she did more damage in the clinch. I thought she was hurting Home with some knees to the body. I thought she was being more impactful. And frankly, the thing that's always kept me, hesitant about Ketlen Vieira, especially after that Home fight, is how hesitant she is to do damage to people. She seems like she's a very nice girl. She seems like she really doesn't want to hurt people. And she also seems just a touch timid. She used to be a lot more aggressive. If you watch her early UFC run, she's been around forever in the UFC, guys. You go back, she came to the organization in 2016. So the majority of her fights as a professional have been in the UFC, right? 11 fights in the UFC, and overall, she's had 17 fights. So more than 50% of her fights have been in the UFC. And if you look that early run, she was beating people up. She was getting these clear, unanimous decisions. She submitted Sarah McMahon, looked like she was all the goods. And then the split decision against Ngannou, man, she's on the fast track. Is she going to fight for a title? And then that title eliminator against Irene Aldana, she gets knocked out. It was brutal. It was a clean hook. Bang, caught her on the feet. And I do think of that as the turning point in her career, where she became a lot less confident, where she became a lot less willing to stand and trade with women on the feet with that kind of same intensity and that same pace and that trust in her power. So I think that Ketlen Vieira since then has been a little bit more reliant on the boxing, fundamentals to keep people at distance. And then she likes to grab a hold of them, use her size, leverage that in the clinch, get a hold of people. She's strong physically. She has a judo, a wrestling, a jiu-jitsu background. She's not going to be easily out positioned on the ground. What has happened to her in the past is an inability to mix her martial arts cleanly, right? The knockout loss to Irene Aldana, Aldana is the one girl she probably could have easily taken down over and over again and beaten up. And instead, she trades with her on the feet, gets knocked out. Okay, tough sledding. Then she goes against Sijara Eubanks. Sijara Eubanks has barely clung to a 500 record. So while she has the credentials in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, she really just hasn't had as easy a time in MMA making her game be effective. The Yana Santos fight, you look at that spot, she misses weight there. So probably was dealing with some stuff going into that fight, maybe an injury, maybe some women's issues. Just don't know exactly what caused her to miss weight. It's the only time in her career that she has missed the weight class, but she's a big girl, so understandable, doesn't make the weight, but she's fighting Yana Santos, and she ends up losing that fight, guys, basically on two things: optics and damage. She got cut open on her face in a fight where she won like 13 minutes. Like, I don't have the UFC stats in front of me, but she controlled basically everything up until the point where she got elbowed in the face and she's bleeding, ends up losing the fight, ends up giving it away in just those bad positions. So I felt like that was an indictment of her, but then they gave her these former champions, Misha Tate, Holly Holm, people that had the name, but not the substance, right? Like people that used to be the best in the division, but now they're almost like a shadow of themselves. They're like a fragment of what they used to be. And so I was like, yeah, maybe at their best, Ketlen Vieira couldn't compete with them, but I thought she was going to have too much physicality, too much youth, too much durability, too much staying power against Misha. And I also thought the exact same thing against Holly Holm. So those were the two times that I bet her on the money line. I did cash in both of those instances, betting on her. But now she's a massive favorite here against Macy Chiasson. And I bet on Macy Chiasson, if my memory serves. Let me pull this up because I don't want to speak out of my hat. But I believe the last time that Macy Chiasson fought against Irene Aldana, I had a bet on Macy Chiasson. Let me see if that's true. Yeah, absolutely disgusting. Plus 155, Macy Chiasson against Irene Aldana. If you guys go back and rewatch that fight, she was about 2 minutes away from winning a unanimous decision in all likelihood. Seemed like she was about to get the nod. She gets kicked from the bottom with a up kick to the body and goes down like she got shot by a gun. I mean, it was absolutely disgusting. One of the worst feelings I've ever had ever betting on a fight. I always say if you're going to screw me, just go ahead and get knocked out in the first exchange, like Gavin Tucker against Dan Ige, and let me just, cry over the bet right away. Hey, didn't work out, fold it up, throw it away. That's what I'd prefer. Don't string me along till the third round and keep telling me you've got hope. It's all going to turn out okay. And then bang, right at the end, right when my hope is up, right when I'm like, we got it. We're going to cash the ticket. We're going to cash the plus 155 dog. Bang, gunshot to the liver, and she goes down. So it was unfortunate there, but that was a spot where, learning lesson, right? Women's MMA, anything could happen, right up to that final bell. I do think Macy Chiasson is, a little bit flaky. I think that's a good way to describe her. Where was that? Somebody said that in the comments, right? Tristan, my guy, thank you. You hit that on the head. He says Macy Chiasson is super flaky. I absolutely agree with you there. I think that that's a lot of sense that you're talking. When you look at Macy's career, she also got submitted after looking good against Raquel Pennington early in the second round. I think she slows down at times. I can't trust her cardio, and I can't trust her IQ. Just looking at her career. Also, the loss to Lena Landsberg, not terrible, but not great. She doesn't have any clear standout wins that are great, except for a split decision over Norma Dumont. So I think Chiasson is getting better, but I can't trust her. And the same thing can be said of Ketlen Vieira at the minus chalk price. So I think Ketlen wins. I expect her to win. I think she's a better fighter. I think she's more well-rounded and more skilled, but she's not aggressive enough and consistent enough to rely on her at minus 220 chalk prices.